Hi everyone, and welcome to the Have You Got 10 Minutes podcast with me, Nikki Tapper. I'll be chatting with household names from music, TV, film, business, sport, and because they're busy people, hence the title. We'll hear how they got started in their careers, what they're currently up to, and their favourite music track. So let's talk to this episode's guests from the TV programme The Great Sewing Bee, quarter-finalist in fact, Lauren Tedstone. So Lauren, have you got 10 minutes?
I have for you, Nikki.
Oh, Lauren, bless you. Thank you so much that you have the 10 minutes. Lauren, you've become a bit of a name for us, a household name, just because of that wonderful programme, The Great British Sewing Bee, that you were in for the series of 2023. Tell me a little bit, though, about how that even started for those who aren't sure and they saw that you did really well, because I think you got to the quarterfinals, didn't you?
Finished a quarter-finalist, which is an incredible achievement. So if you haven't watched, you should go and watch. But I was on last series of The Great British Sewing Bee on BBC One. And it is similar to the Bake Off in that it's a sewing competition. Each week we have challenges and then we are chucked out accordingly. And long story short is that I haven't been sewing for very long. I've only been sewing for 5 years now. At the time of it airing, it was only just under 4 years that I've been sewing. And yeah, now it's become my everyday, and I've really enjoyed the programme.
And it's a lovely programme to get into. It's a really good feel programme, and it's a joy because of the range of people that the programme highlights, the skill sets, the different backgrounds that people come from. Because for you, as you said, you've only just got into it. What you actually trained, though, didn't you, to be a barrister?
I did, yeah. So I decided to let go of creativity as a young adult, as most do, and I focused on career and very much had academic subjects that I studied. So I studied law and then I went on to study the bar in order to become a barrister. So I didn't have any creativity in my day-to-day. And I took a bit of a step back after having my children. And it was when I had that break away from the corporate world that I then stepped into getting a bit more creative with the kids. And then I dusted off that old sewing machine that my grandma had given me many years before and just gave it a go. I started with a bit of knitting as well, and then I got into sewing. The grandma that actually gave me my machine as a teen, she doesn't remember this, but we spoke about it the other day. She used to pick me up from nursery. It's one of my core memories. She'd pick me up from nursery and we would sit and watch Bob Ross videos together and draw every evening. And so she was very much my creative outlet. And when I was about 13, 14, she gifted me a sewing machine and she said to me, You'll want this one day. And at the time, I was thinking, Grandma, that's a very random gift. I had no intention of sewing. Completely honest. I was more of like a little grumpy teenager at that point. You know, I probably would have valued JD vouchers a bit more than a sewing machine. But anyway, I left it and she was right. So about 10 years later, I had the children and then I really wanted to get into sewing after seeing loads of things being created.
And so there you are, you're on this programme that can highlight that. What's one of the things that we don't get to see, though, behind the scenes? Because, you know, of course, editing is a great thing and it will edit these lovely little slots and you have the little quirky moments. But some of the challenges that you had to do, I know one of the key things that you won, I think it was, they do the challenge of the day and, you know, you're the sewer of the day, was when you did your Scary Spice 1990s outfit. But what's it actually like? Are you genuinely, because when they say you've got 5 hours and of course in a half hour or an hour programme, you can't show that. What's the journey like?
It's a very hard journey, I would say. I think the whole process, it really was a family affair. So, for example, it's filmed in Leeds and obviously we're in the Midlands. So the travel alone meant that I lived away from the household for chunks of time, which I'd never done before. And the filming days are on average about 12 hours. So they're very, very long days, early starts, late finishes. I like to talk. And for every single make, I had a story. I'm very family orientated. And a lot of the reason I sew and, my motivation for most things are to do with my family. So,
like you said, family is very important to you. And I know one of the key things that you used that helped start the sewing dream and desire was making something for one of your children, a memory blanket.
yes. So I was very much into baby groups, and I had a lovely set of mum friends from an NCT class locally. And one of the mums had this memory quilt made using her children's clothes. So they cut up the clothes and they produced this quilt. I fell in love with it. However, I did not fall in love with the price. And I understand why the price is so high. It's very hard to make. But me being me, I've always been like this. I think, what's the point of buying it if I can learn how to make it myself? So that was definitely the inspiration. And at the time, my daughter was very young, but she's also very tall. So I was struggling to find her the clothes that she liked on the high street. She's quite a girly girl. And again, I searched the internet, I found the patterns, and I started to make her some dresses as well. So I'm very much I don't know if it's a blessing and a curse, Nikki, if I'm honest, because I can't let go. So instead of paying someone else to do it, I'll figure out how to do it myself. But that's not always the best thing when you multi-craft.
Exactly, that's the thing. But also I have the visions of your daughter going, I love where you got that from. Where'd you get that from? And my mum made it. And just
my mum's made it. What? So far, I predict when she gets a little bit older, it may be like, my mum's made it. But at the minute, she's like, Mummy, can you make me this fluffy dress? Or can you make me this tutu? So I've started at the right age for her. And my son is the same. He is just as interested in sewing as my daughter. So now they'll both be doing little projects on the weekends, and I've got a little machine for them. So I let them. Oh my gosh,
that's very good. Yeah. That's really good to hear. And so going back then to the being in the series and being in the program, as you said, there's a lot of work that goes into it. And when you do get the coveted Sewer of the Week and win the challenge, that really does set a tone for you. Since being in Sewing Beats, just celebrated its 10th year with this current series, do you ever go back and watch it? And what else are you up to, and what doors has it opened since you were on?
Oh, it's opened so many doors. This last year has been such a whirlwind of opportunities and amazing projects. So I now teach. So I've always wanted to teach, and now I get to teach beginners and intermediate sewing lessons. So I'm going up and down the country doing that, in the process of setting up a few things Midlands based as well. So Nikki, you will be coming to a class.
There you have it. I can't say no now, can I? I'm here on the podcast. I'm going to have to go, one of that. I think I might be busy that day. No, that's fine.
So I now teach. I do a lot of networking, a lot of sewing. Sewing is now becoming essentially one of many things that I do in a day. So it's becoming a little career for me, more than a side hustle. I think it is now becoming my everyday. And I really enjoy it. So there's a lot of teaching. There's a lot of events that I host or co-host. In the autumn, there's quite a few sewing shows where I'll be hosting workshops and having a sewing space there. The sewing community is lovely. So it's just, doing as much as I can to essentially give back, because the sewing community helped me a lot when I started sewing. Didn't really have any, face-to-face friendships when it came to sewing, but I'm hoping to build that for others now. So
brilliant. Well, look, as I said, you're pretty busy. As you said, you've got all this thing going on, being a mum as well with the two children. There's couple of things I need to ask just before we finish. No intention then of going back into being a barrister into law.
Oh, do you know, I will never say never.
Okay,
I will never say never. I think where I am right now, if I went into law, I would have to make my own gown, because the clothes they're wearing are a bit boring. So if I can combine my hobbies.
that's a win-win.
I was going to say, I do think that, and that's one of the reasons I went as far as to study and take it on as a career, is that it does help in every avenue. So despite not practicing law at the minute, it still really is helping me and giving me a bit more of a bit of a backbone when it comes to business and guidance and things like that. So it's still very much, my everyday without being a career.
Yeah, exactly. Great to hear that. The second question is, your grandfather, was historical when it comes to law. So just briefly tell us that story.
I will, yeah, of course. So I come from a legal background. So I was the third generation to study law. And my granddad and I actually studied at the same place in London, which is a lovely little story. But my granddad was the first black QC in the UK, which is an incredible achievement. And he, to this day, still has people that he mentored reaching out and just expressing their gratitude for what my granddad did for them within their careers. So, yeah, he did many, many things.
Give his full name.
His full name is Dr. John Anthony Roberts, QC.
Oh, you said that's the
CBE. I forgot that bit.
Oh, right, okay, great.
Yeah, he's also got CBE. He's passed away now, but his legacy definitely continues in both myself, my brother, and then my children, because he was very much an advocate for A, never forgetting where you came from. So always remembering where you came from, and B, striving for whatever you want to do in life. There should never be a barrier. So whatever you want to achieve, you can achieve it. Because you can imagine becoming a black QC in the 60s within London had its...
Oh my gosh, yeah, we could be here for another not even 10 minutes, another 5 years.
That could be a podcast in itself, couldn't it? But
definitely.
He really did overcome many adversities.
Excellent. Yeah. All right, well, look, our time has gone. Thank you so much. Before I do let you go, then the final thing to ask is, as I will do with all my guests, to ask them their favourite piece of music and why. So what's a chosen track of yours that you go to listen to and why?
My song is a Lauryn Hill song, and it is To Zion. This song I listen to when I need a bit of a boost and a bit of motivation. And there's a particular line in the song that really hit home when I was pregnant with my son and I was deciding what to do with my life. And it says, look at your career, they said, Lauren, baby, use your head. But instead, I chose to use my heart. So I remember that line all the time, because I think in life, you sometimes just need to follow your heart and strive for whatever you want to do. So yeah, that's my little motivation song.
Thank you so much, and after your namesake as well. But for now, it's been a joy. Thank you out of your busy schedule to give me the 10 minutes. Lauren, take care. Bless you. Thank you so much.
Speak to you soon, Nikki. Bye.
Many thanks then to my guest, Lauren Tedstone. Please do follow her on social media platforms. And do the same for me. Look for NIKKITAPPER, Nikki Tapper. And thank you for joining me here on the podcast. Have you got 10 minutes? Have You Got 10 Minutes is presented and produced by me, Nikki Tapper, for NT Events Limited and Nikki Tapper Limited.